welcome back to the Laker family. I'm going to be discussing the game that just ended between the Lakers and the New York Knicks. The Lakers improved to a 35-9 record on the season. They ended up with a 100 to 92 victory against the Knicks. Am I overly excited about this game? Nah, not really. It's the Knicks. They're 12 and 33 on the season, and they didn't even have their prized rookie, R.J. Barrett. So I feel like we, even with all that, we still got away with a narrow victory. So I'm always happy with the dub, but that doesn't mean that there's isn't any flaws that needs to be addressed. There was a lot of kind of dry spells in this game, and there was a lot of sloppiness too as well. The chemistry was a tad bit better this game, but after that performance against Boston, it couldn't have got any worse. You know, it can only go up from there. That was the lowest point of the season for the Lakers. So they bounced back with a victory against the lowly Knicks, but it wasn't in a dominating fashion. You would think that after getting embarrassed like that against Boston, that they would just do away with the Knicks, especially since we're in the midst of a back-to-back. We have the Nets next tomorrow. So you would have liked to see our guys get some rest time in the fourth quarter, our superstars, and that wasn't the case. They ended up having to play it out down to the wire. Anthony Davis hit a couple of clutch buckets at the end, to go ahead and seal it, but it should have never got to that point. I mean, come on, guys. The Knicks didn't even play good. They were missing a lot of shots too. So we were playing decent defense against them, but the way these guys shot poorly, I mean, there's no way we should have just escaped with a narrow victory like that. Marcus Morris was their leading scorer with 20 points. Next you had Randall with 16 points. But he struggled to get those 16 points. He took 6 of 16 shots, just to get 16. And Dennis Smith Jr., whatever happened to this kid? I used to even hear stuff like, how come the Lakers didn't draft him over Alonzo Ball? But the guy's been, his career has been taking a downturn. And, he had some good flashes with the Mavericks, and ever since he got traded to the Knicks, it's just, you haven't heard anything from the guy. But again, that's another guy that was drafted in the Lonzo Ball draft that kind of gets swept under the rug. Nobody bashes him or, even, mentions him anymore. Frank Ntilikina was 0 for 8. And, he's been a bust so far for the Knicks. So they're in disarray over there with no type of direction. They probably have one of the worst outlooks of all teams in the league going forward. But yeah, that was embarrassing to have this game that close. Like I say, I'm always happy with a win, but this doesn't show us anything. This doesn't prove anything, that we didn't see against the Celtics. So, I mean, yeah, we'll take a cookie, for the dub. But I mean, I gotta see more to feel legit, to make sure that this team is legit, because right now I still feel like we need that safety net, which is Iguodala, or even a Darren Collison. I've been hearing rumors that the Lakers and the 76ers are showing interest in Derrick Rose. Number one, I don't know how Derrick Rose would fit on a team with Ben Simmons, because the 76ers are obviously not going to trade Ben Simmons for Derrick Rose. And on our behalf, we would have to give up Kyle Kuzma. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But would you be willing to give up a young stud player that's, yes, he's inconsistent, but you got to take into account what third star has ever been consistent on a LeBron James team. And you would be trading him for an older Derrick Rose, who, don't get me wrong, he's still balling, and I would love to have him on this team, but at the cost of Kyle Kuzma, I'm not so sure about that. Derrick Rose wouldn't be a long-term thing. It would just be maybe like a 1 or 2 year thing before he even starts, deteriorating because of age. And then, you send Kyle Kuzma off somewhere and he ends up pulling a D'Angelo Russell or Brandon Ingram, and then we're going to be, stuck shaking our heads again. So I would say no to that right now, and just continue to give Kyle Kuzma a chance, because right now we're not in that desperate of a situation right now where we have to hit the panic button. We're still number one in the Western Conference, so it's not that panicky of a situation yet. Now Kyle Kuzma had 10 points, 4 of 10 from the field, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. Scoring wise, not overly impressive, but he played good defense, especially when it was his turn to guard Julius Randle. So I applaud him for at least doing that. If your shot's not falling, get in there and you have to contribute, find somewhere else to be valuable on the floor. Because you're being a third option, you're not always going to get the touches that you desire. And you're not going to get the same amount of touches every single game. You might have 20 touches one game. The next game you might have 5 or 7. You just have to go with the flow. And you're basically just left to pick up the scraps from LeBron and Anthony Davis. And maybe if the coaching staff can find a lineup where Kyle Kuzma could be featured when Anthony Davis and LeBron both go to the bench, find a lineup that suits Kyle Kuzma to be the focal point, and go from there. And just see what happens. Maybe he'll get more comfortable that way in that role. And then there was a layup he did on the fast break late in the third quarter. He did a and one left-hand layup, but he finished through the contact this time. I think it was against Julius Randle. Julius Randle was tracking him down, and he actually went through and laid it up with the left hand. That's what I want to see from Kyle Kuzma. I promise you, if Kyle Kuzma starts playing through the contact, you will see a consistent growth in his scoring and the scoring side. But if he continues to fall in love with these fadeaway floaters and prayers and stuff like that, you're going to see his numbers fluctuate. You got to put the onus on the referees sometimes by seeking contact and finishing through players. Hopefully his trainer or a coach, somebody on the coaching staff addresses that with Kyle Kuzma. LeBron James was a bit more assertive this game. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, all-around game from LeBron James. I was happy to see that from him, but I just want to see this type of performance from LeBron, plus a bit more against upper echelon teams. Not saying that you have to go all out of your way and gas yourself, but don't play below yourself. That game against the Celtics, he played below himself. The last game against the Clippers, he played below himself. The last two games against the Clippers, he played below his a LeBron type of game. You know, I want to see him do this against those type of teams. Uh, Anthony Davis, monster game, 28 points, 2 blocks, and hit all his free throws, 13 for 13. That's the major stat for him tonight, 13 of 13 from the free throw line. Hit a 3-pointer. So glad to see Anthony Davis shake off some of that rust because he looked completely out of sorts against Boston. And I know he had limited minutes that game, and so he couldn't really get a chance to get in no type of rhythm. This game he had 30 minutes, 28 points, so he showed up. So we had decent production from the bench. Caldwell Pope, 13 points. Rondo, 8 points, 3 assists, 2 steals. Howard, 5 points, 3 blocks, 12 rebounds. Big on Dwight's part. JaVale McGee, 6 points, 5 rebounds. Not stellar, but he did have a couple of hustle plays in there. A couple of offensive rebounds. He had 3 of them. You know, that kept a couple of plays going. So decent, not overly nothing to jump out of your seat about, but it was decent enough to get the victory. I want to see us go into the Nets home tomorrow and take care of business. You know, early. You know, all they have to me is they do have Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, and LeVert. I think those 3 guys are kind of like the main scorers for their team. But everybody else, you know, you just go in there with a great defensive game plan. If you want to let Kyrie Irving do his thing and shut everybody else out, that's fine. If you want to key in on Kyrie Irving, you know, and or doubling, team him, trap him, make somebody else beat you, then go with that game plan. But you just can't live with Kyrie Irving going off and then the rest of the guys eating too. You can't do that. So let's take care of business tomorrow. I think I've covered everything. And as always, thank y'all guys. I appreciate all of y'all. I love all my subscribers that's been here since day one. And all my future subscribers. Go ahead and hit that button now if you haven't. To join the Laker family. So I'll see y'all with another recap after tomorrow's game against the Knicks. Peace.